Nothing happened this week, guys. Like absolutely nothing happened.
Nope. Not
Nothing.
Yeah, it did.
I
did.
I'm like looking at our sheet, and there's like nothing to talk about.
Yeah, it's just blank.
Yeah, no, something.
It's just got the shrugging emoticon. Like,
what happened, Davey?
You guys didn't hear?
No, what?
You guys really didn't hear?
Mm-mm.
No.
Wow.
What happened?
Oh, nothing.
No. Dang.
I'm just kidding. I dropped an NFT.
I'm like,
hey,
No, I didn't.
let's go. JTN NFTs, baby. Let's get it.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
We dropped a Maverick Night in America t-shirt.
That's a good one. It's a good one.
Already sold 2 of them. That's like the fastest selling t-shirt ever in history.
there you
go. 2.
There you go.
Davey's also got some new PTR merch up on the JTN merch store.
I gotta get it.
You
couldn't. It was so funny, Joe.
Huh?
Joe, it was so funny.
Why?
You dropped that shirt last night, like the link in the JTN Discord, and I got the notification. You dropped that shirt. Well, I was like, it was right after Next L at Bristol, and I was mad as hell at Noah.
I picked a bad time to drop it.
It was a bad time to drop it. I was like, screw that shirt. I don't want that shirt with his name on it. It was the worst timing.
That's okay.
Oh man, it was so funny though. It's funny.
Yeah, funny how that works out.
Did everyone come up with their nouns?
John did.
I don't know. I don't know about that, Chief.
I started and then I saw him do it like in a day, and I was like, oh, okay.
He sent an alphabetized list of nouns, and I don't know how much I trust that.
The fact that I cannot get my microphone in a good position right now. The fact that like when he sent that and I opened it on Google Docs and like I was hovering over the number of pages dialogue and I was just watching it roll over as it continued to count all of them.
Wow, yeah, it's doing it right now. It started at 75. It's at 150 and it's still going.
Yeah. So absurd.
Nouns.
Yeah, he's got like ibex and stuff. I love John. I don't think John typed all this.
That's not in the spirit of the competition either, right? Like,
yeah,
you're not supposed to Google.
I think we're gonna have to launch a formal investigation on John Peterson.
I just did.
Bristol's little detective hat out.
I gotta say, my magnifying glass doesn't compute. I don't trust it.
You don't trust it?
John, the jury's out.
Case closed. Davey doesn't trust it.
Yeah.
Correct.
No,
he just did that to hold me over. He's gonna submit a link in like a month that has 10,000 different nouns that only John Peterson can come up with.
He's gonna live stream himself typing 10,000 nouns.
He should. We'll host it.
That's good content.
I'll host it right here. If guys can go out there and say Michael Waltrip 15,000 times. Listen.
That's good stuff.
I'm Googling how long it takes to type 10,000 words.
But man, there's some dumb videos on YouTube that get views. So
well, think about like maybe like average words per minute of like a human, and then
so it says writing 10,000 words will take about 4.2 hours for the average writer typing on a keyboard. And so if you factor in having to come up with all of them, you can double it. It's about an 8-hour stream. So
we can do that.
Yeah,
that's doable. Don't be
just have two people making fun of John while he's doing it.
Yeah.
But that's just giving him more material. Any words you say, that's like...
Yeah, but eventually, like, how many words do you really think you use? Like, nouns.
Many.
It's nouns.
Oh, many.
But I mean, like, if you're just having a conversation, like, how many nouns do you think you used in this episode? Here, hey, John, if you're watching or listening, tell us how many nouns we used in this episode.
And make sure you refresh the page a lot.
That'll be more impressive.
YouTube.
You used about 5 in that last sentence, so...
Yeah, see? You go through quite a bit. If I just described where I'm sitting and what's around me, I mean, that would probably be
all
like
right,
20.
Whatever. Who cares?
Me.
Okay, that's true. That's very true. You do care. You are very invested in this.
It was your idea after all.
Folks, this is the Fake Racers podcast. It's not the Fake Nouns podcast. It's the Fake Racers podcast.
Wait, what?
Fake Nouns podcast sounds like something that we would not like to listen to, honestly. But as always, to my left is Davey Hazard,
I guess.
and down below is Matthew Steelman,
That's me.
and I'm
Way
Joe.
happier to be here. I'm just kidding. I'm happy to be here.
Davey decided to go into the break room here at JTN headquarters, and by JTN headquarters I mean his residence, and take a little slumber while I was broadcasting Maverick, and Matthew was doing oofsides things.
Yeah.
So Davey's batteries, he should have a lot of energy tonight.
We'll get there. I have water. I'm sure the water will help.
Mhm.
Wow, it's loud. And then
I can already see it. I called you out for it, and you just
what? Oh.
nothing.
Okay, I wasn't listening.
This sounds about right.
Well, here's the deal, right? I've been going to bed like 9:30.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And then waking up at 1
No,
every night.
I do that super consistently. I go to bed at like 11 and I wake up at 3 almost every night.
Dude,
It sucks.
it's like I like force I have to stay up later because I'm just gonna wake up at 3 if I don't.
is it?
What?
Are you going? Have you tried to time out like how many REM cycles you're going through? Because is a REM cycle an hour and a half or 3 hours?
I think it's 3. It's 3.
So 9:30 to 12 to 3 would be 2 REM cycles ish.
Yeah.
You go through 2 REM cycles and wake up, and
Yeah.
Matt, you're going through like 1.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
No, I get
although
it.
last Friday or Thursday, I went like 3 rounds with my sleep paralysis demon. Bro, we was duking it out and like
I
won.
got back from the football game Saturday night, and like I was like, oh man, I'm so tired. And then I sat in this chair for a little bit, like trying to figure out and working on some stuff. And then all of a sudden I couldn't fall asleep. So that was thanks. And then I decided that I was going to stream the Baylor BYU game for the boys on Discord. And then I decided, I'll just lay in bed. And then I freaking fell asleep on Discord, but I don't think anyone noticed.
I mean, that happens. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Pretty sure I had my mic flipped up, and if they did notice, they didn't say anything to me. So
Well, Ryan does that like every night almost. I'll check Discord when it's like midnight my time, and everybody will be out of VC except him, and he's muted. I'm like, well,
Joey, right? Joey.
or Joey, yeah.
Yeah.
wow,
I
Yeah,
was
no,
gonna use
Joey.
names,
Joey does that every night with kids.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's so funny because sometimes when we have a late night, he like
he'll just go
no one really be
quiet.
saying anything. He'll go really quiet, but then like 3 or 4 in the morning, you'll hear boom, and he leaves. It's like it's the most Joey thing. Like Joey, let me tell you, man, Joey is nothing if not consistent. That man stays in character 100% of the
He
time.
is Joey the Bull Stefano.
Yeah.
You can buy his
He's a
shirt on the
nice
JTN
guy.
merch store.
Speaking of shirts, I'm wearing a very relevant one right now.
That's a very
Hey.
relevant one because Bubba Wallace in the 45 car, and Kurt Busch's 45 car, according to a lot of people, even though it was literally the 23 car that he ran there in the spring,
Changing stickers, so
won on Sunday. Congratulations to me. I literally called it last week on the show and put my money where my mouth was.
Did you pick him last week?
I'm pretty sure I did. I don't know where my picks went, honestly.
Yeah.
I-
John, let us know in the comments if we did.
Yeah.
John is the Fake Racers podcast historian. Historian as in last episode.
Send me a message as soon as you hear this episode.
But I did bet on him to win, and I won. So,
There you go.
Wow.
you know, I
There
got
you
that
go, Joe.
proof.
Want to brag about it some more? Okay.
Yeah, I do, actually. I was pretty proud of myself for not losing money on a weekend betting on racing. So, you got to celebrate the wins when you only get like one win every 3 months, you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. But obviously a big win for the 45s team. Non-playoff driver, playoff owner car. It's a weird situation that they need to talk about more because that puts him through to the next round of the playoffs, which again, Christopher Bell's also locked into the next round of the playoffs, driver and owner championship too. So, or at least
I don't think anybody saw that coming.
I'm trying to think, he might not be, but he'd be he's probably like 50 still. So he
I think
probably is.
he's locked in for drivers. I think.
I know he's locked in for drivers. I'm just trying to think
They
of
made
what
a
the
post
gap
about
is
it,
there at the
yeah.
bubble. But nonetheless, their playoff drivers having troubles at Kansas is the theme once again, as it always is at Kansas somehow. Kevin Harvick slams into the outside wall after the 45 goes across his nose, takes the air off of it. I think he was racing with Ross. I'm surprised Harvick didn't blame Ross for that wreck. Just like Jeff
Burton. His fault.
Was it?
I thought it was.
Thought it was Ross's fault?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put the 45 in the wall, crossed up Kevin Harvick because of it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that Jeff Burton all of a sudden changed his tune about Ross, telling him, no, you got to keep racing like you were racing all year, when all summer Jeff Burton was like, Ross needs to stop racing like this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys caught that. I caught that, and I was like,
yeah.
What?
He's definitely been more vocal than any other announcer about Ross this year.
I was like, what?
I don't know. Maybe Ross Chastain, excuse me. Maybe Ross Chastain got Jeff Burton's nudes or something. I don't know.
Tyler Reddick blew a tire from the lead. Right rears were the story.
That was nuts.
Right rears were the story, where left rears were the story in the spring. And it was funny because NBC's like, oh, we have a caution. What do we? Oh, it's Tyler Reddick. It's the leader. Dale Jr.ism coming out there. And Kyle Busch also spun into the grass, probably tore up the bottom of the race car, finishes like back 20th, I think 26th was the finish. Extends his streak of not finishing in the top 5, only like 2 top 10s since Gateway, something crazy like that. Or we talked about it last week.
Yeah.
Kyle's also always like struggled at Kansas. He's won here a couple times, but for a long time
with Adam Stevens.
Yeah, this was his worst track for a long time.
And it probably is going to revert back to that.
Yeah.
And it has. It feels like it has. But of those 3, I think Reddick's in still because he had a good race last week. I believe the 4 out are Harvick, Busch, Briscoe, Cindric.
I'm looking right now. Let's see.
Cindric's been pretty
on the outside. Kyle Busch is -2. Austin Dillon's -3.
Austin
Briscoe
Dillon's
-9.
I completely forgot Austin Dillon was in the playoffs, guys.
Yeah.
Whoopsie.
And Harvick is -35. So
what happens when you sneak in?
And then Cindric and Reddick are both +2. Chastain +6.
Yeah,
that's kind of the bubble.
It's pretty tight going into Bristol. Now, I will say for Reddick and Cindric, Bristol is a very good track for both of those drivers historically. You think about Cindric.
Kevin Harvick almost won there last year, though.
Yep.
Yes.
Kyle Busch is really good at Bristol.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bristol's going to be crazy. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
But the big story of the day, of course, is Bubba Wallace getting a second career victory. Late race surge from him, Christopher Bell, and biggest surge at the end there was Denny Hamlin, who I believe had a penalty that took him back. He talked about it post-race, kind of being disappointed with the team, still kind of running into the same issues that they've had all summer. It was the first time he's had that type of interview on TV. Now, he's had it on the radio a couple times, where he's kind of been like, oh, yeah, we keep screwing up. We keep getting in our way. And when he's saying that, he's meaning the pit crew, despite the pit crew being pretty good. And honestly, his pit time, he hadn't, I don't recall Denny Hamlin speeding on pit lane every week like he has in the past. So, yeah, I don't know. That was weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Must be something going on with the
Yeah.
team to make him say that, you know.
I think a lot of it goes back to the stuff over the summer where the 2311 crews were very bad compared to the Gibbs crews. I'm sure there's probably some residual there.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like low-hanging fruit for him at this point, which is okay. I mean, he's got a right to do that as a team owner, as a driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, he's not slagging off specific guys.
Yeah.
Right?
And I feel like it's probably pretty easy to be frustrated in a situation where you have a pool of guys and the pool of guys that have been selected for you aren't performing, where other pools of guys from the big pool of guys might be. So I guess I see where that could be an easy frustration point and an easy like, well, that's different, and then they can kind of drag that out. It's just the way their pit crew system works, where it's like a bunch of JGR guys. They go to all the, they get distributed. Anyway, yeah.
Anything to add there, Matt?
There was a race like 3 weeks ago where they had like a really costly penalty at the end of the race, didn't they? I think it was a speeding penalty. Yeah,
it was pit penalty.
It hasn't been super common, but they've had those intermittent pit stop hiccups all year.
They haven't been as good as the other Gibbs crews. Doesn't mean they've been bad. They haven't been making mistakes like crazy. They're making the same amount of mistakes as a lot of other crews, like Daniel Suarez's crew, Kyle Busch's crew, both had like equipment interference penalties and that type of stuff over the weekend. There were a lot of those this weekend. It was weird. The NASCAR was you hear this all the time in the NFL with refereeing, but point of emphasis. It's kind of hard.
Must have had a meeting about it.
Yes. Must have had a meeting with the computers in the Hawkeye system, but it was weird because that penalty is so weird too, because you see like crew guys like over into the next pit stall over getting tires now and stuff, and like sometimes it's not a penalty, sometimes it is. It's very easy to make it black and white if you want to. Look, your tires have to stay in your box if you're going to roll them to the wall. Right?
Yeah.
Easy enough.
Yeah, but NASCAR loves to have their rules. We're like, this is the rule, except in this hyper-specific case where it's not the rule and it's actually completely different, but we're not going to explain that to anybody.
Yeah. I think that's like an overlooked thing this weekend, honestly. And I don't know if it's because I'm blowing it out of proportions or not, but feels like a little more significant story. Another significant story was Alex Bowman looking like the best Hendrick driver. Is he the best Hendrick driver right now? Survey says no, but
I was going to say, as of this last week, probably. But
make the argument. Go, make the argument.
I mean, he led like 100 laps, but grand scheme of the whole thing,
make the argument.
Definitely Elliott.
I mean, you probably could have looked at last week and said Byron's in contention, but Byron's also really good at Darlington.
Yeah,
I think we'll see the cream rise to the top over the course of the playoffs, because none of the Hendrick guys are really in immediate danger of falling out of the playoffs yet. So,
one bad race. I think
it's all it takes.
Isn't Larson like only 11 or 12 to the good going into this weekend?
Larson is plus 27.
Oh, never mind.
Chase Elliott's plus 28 and Bowman's plus 30. So they're all really like, what about one Byron? Bad race. Byron's plus 48. So he's second in points right now.
Okay, so he's pretty safe.
So it's like Blaney, Logano, Hamlin, Byron, and Bell are all pretty safe coming in this race. So.
Okay. All right. I gotta look at that grid, man. That grid likes to... That grid has been shuffled so many times already. 2 races. I love it. Yeah. It's great. Again, talked about Bubba Wallace. The idea of silencing the doubters. You saw him shush the crowd. I didn't hear a lot of boos, which I saw people saying he was shushing the boos. I didn't hear boos. I don't know. Not a lot. I'm sure there are some. Everyone's...
Yeah. I will say...
I thought it was more of a, like, hey, shut up, I won this one. You can't say anything.
I just assumed he was shushing the boos because every time I've ever gone to a NASCAR race, the amount of boos that Bubba Wallace gets is extraordinary.
Yeah.
And
think about where you are.
Know, maybe it turned to cheers eventually. I don't know, but I just assumed he was shushing some amount of boos that were probably most definitely happening at some point during that celebration.
It was also a Michael Jordan reference because there's like a famous picture of him doing that. I think it was after beating the Cavaliers in the playoffs. So, and it's him doing the like shush thing. So, yeah, could be the other one. But yeah,
but this idea that this driver who should have won a Daytona 500 by now, right? Like I feel like he's a guy that you could say this guy's going to win a 500 eventually. He's right there with Blaney, I think, right now of drivers. Driver, very, very good at all the super speedway races. Good at the New Atlanta. Stellar run at Michigan. Probably shoulda, coulda, woulda won that race if it wasn't for Joey Logano and being good at his job. I think this is just that it's that your first win, no matter how it comes, whether it's range shortened, whether it's you dominate the race, you won, congratulations. But the second one's validation.
Yeah. And especially when you win it in the fashion that he did, there's going to be a lot of, well, or but whenever people talk about it.
No pun intended. A win like the one he had Sunday is a really big watershed moment for him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been reported, it's been talked about, but there's nothing really better than just finally getting the monkey off your back. No one can say anything about this one. They have to make up stuff about it.
Yeah, like he was driving Kurt's car.
And albeit, I also think he earned the Talladega win because he was fast, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, you cannot put into question. There is no question at all. Bubba Wallace just straight up kicked their asses. So
yeah, and it's like his entire Cup career, it's been like, oh well, if only he had front running stuff, and then he gets to 2311, and it's like, oh well, only if they put a whole race together. And this was kind of for the first time their race where the team put the whole thing together, and it was like, all right, now it's time for you to go out and do your job, and he did it. So it's kind of that drive that we've been waiting to see. Not to say that he's been bad, but it's like, all right, the team stayed out of their own way. Bubba ran a great race, and he went out and he got one. So, awesome.
Oh yeah,
and he was fast there in the spring, so people forget that too. He finished top 5 at a time of the year where he was not running very well week to week.
Yeah, I think people also need to this is like a pretty regular introduction to the sport for a new team to get as fast as at the speed that they have. Like Trackhouse was an anomaly, and I think it made 2311 look a little bit worse than they actually were.
A fair point with Trackhouse too is
them hitting their stride.
Trackhouse bought Ganassi, right? I mean,
I'm sure some of that helps, but I don't know how much. It's hard to quantify where that is, especially with a new car.
You can't beat the chemistry when you buy an entire team and you're able to carry that team over and give them more resources, which is what they did with the one car. The one team is the 42 team from last year.
Yeah.
Whereas 2311, I mean, Bubba's had 2 crew chiefs. I feel like that kind of gets lost in the shuffle that Booty Barker got elevated to crew chief last fall. Obviously, they won Talladega. Feels like he's been a pretty good voice in Bubba's ear over the radio. Feels like.
More or less, yeah.
He has a good understanding of him, especially now as the year's gone on. At 2311 didn't have the benefit, had the benefit of you have more big times funding coming into it. You have more, right? I feel like that's fair to say compared to Trackhouse. Trackhouse was freaking running out of the RCR shop last year with the 99 team. But more big time funding, more of this. You have your own shop because you have to. You're still you're purchasing components from JGR and all that stuff, but you bought Levine Family Racing, not Chip Ganassi Racing, like Trackhouse was able to. So those comparisons, while they make sense to make because the teams came into the sport at the same time, they're not necessarily fair because of the circumstances being different. And I know you're not arguing that they're one and the same, Davey. I just want to expand on that because I think it's important to expand on that. Why it's not a one-to-one thing like you were saying.
I think a lot of it is also the difference in expectations because Trackhouse coming in was like, I wonder what these guys are going to do. Oh man, they might be a cool team. Meanwhile, 2311 had all this hype around it and all these massive sponsors. And
Michael Jordan.
Yeah. And on paper, their results were very similar, but Trackhouse looked really good. 2311 looked like a massive disappointment. So, yeah.
So,
perspective.
Again, we're all here on this show, all 4 of us. Our the audio listeners, Bristol's in the background as he always is. We are all very happy.
Our silent 4th member,
yes.
Stu.
Yep, Stu.
Yeah.
Oh, my little Stu.
We're all very happy that Bubba Wallace won and got to get that moment, that validation on being a winner in the Cup Series. Noah Gragson wins 2 in a row, wins at Kansas. Probably the hottest driver going into the playoffs for the Xfinity Series, which starts after this weekend's race at Bristol. Fashion in which he won. We just talked about rain with Talladega last year. Let's talk about rain with Noah Gragson in Kansas. Been a lot of clamor, commotion, discussion about NASCAR's rain rules. NASCAR's willingness to go till whenever they went to for the Xfinity race at Daytona. Waiting 4 hours to restart the Cup race with 20 laps to go after a big one.
Yeah.
Do we care? Do we think, like, I've heard a lot of people saying, oh, I want to know who's making the decision. It's the same people that make the decision every week. Circumstances change. Is that enough of a reason to say, hey, NASCAR, we really don't need a defined set of rules as a fan base? I'll let you both go ahead and discuss.
This is Xfinity. They ran
a bunch of laps
under caution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see that's where I feel like there's some discussion, warranted with the rain rules. And I sat there, and I guess for the Cup race to run the last 20 laps, I understand. Excuse me, I understand the precedent set there because that was a little bit different situation with the playoffs looming.
Yas.
Xfinity, the stakes weren't as big. I think. I don't know. I didn't love that they ran a bunch of laps under caution to get to the threshold to call the race.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mean they didn't just call the race super quick or anything, but I mean you're at a racetrack that has lights. You know, I guess they were really trying to get, like, they know the ARCA race was coming later, and then that one also get delayed.
It got rained out till Sunday morning.
Yeah, so you know,
So
I don't know, man. It's tough. That's a tough one. That was a tough one this weekend.
let me add some background here. The plan for Xfinity was to start the race at 7, to resume the race at 7:30. So after the Cup race on Sunday. Matt, floor is yours.
I don't know. I don't really know what take I have. It's just weird how it, with them trying to get the race to the cutoff point. It's like, let's just get this over with. I don't know.
It's weird that they take those types of they're more likely to do those types of things. It feels like in the lower tier series. I have a feeling that I have is because your attendance is a lot lower, right? I mean that's your viewership's lower. I mean, tree falls in the forest and no one's there to see it or hear it. Does it actually fall? Like,
yeah, it is. It's still disappointing though.
Oh, 100%.
Because I've been at races. I've been at like kart races where it's like, let's get this show on the road. Let's get everyone out of here by 2:00. And I'm like,
yeah, like I'm
here.
good to hang out.
I'm here to race. Like, let's do this. Let's get this. Like, let's get this going. But also, like, let's not rush ourselves to get all this stuff out. Like, let's take our time. Let's actually enjoy the day. I planned for a day out at the racetrack.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the disappointment is there for me because of that. Like, I've just been a part of so many programs where it's, let's get the show going, let's roll, we gotta go, and it's like, oh, it's 2:00 and we're about to head home, which like is nice, I guess, but like I'm like, it's a day out at the racetrack,
Yeah.
We're doing something here that we like to do, and we want to do it for. We want to like do it and not be rushed, or do it and get it all in, or whatever the situation may be. The frustration stems there for me, but I realize they have other races. They have ARCA, and I guess it rained all night anyway, so I guess it's fine that they called it. But what if it didn't? And then they'd look really dumb. Imagine if ARCA starts uninhibited.
Time. Yeah.
People would be pissed, and I would be too. It would be warranted. So.
Yep. Fair enough. Playoff battle got really tricky today. Jeremy Clements' appeal was successful for his Daytona win. So he gets that back.
I think the team announced that a little prematurely too, because they had to delete that tweet.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
I don't care. They won their appeal for a penalty that NASCAR levied on them, despite it not being a performance advantage. But it was still outside the rule book. I think that was their argument, that it wasn't a performance advantage, so why penalize us for it? Whatever.
Yeah.
Landon Castle is now plus 19 to the cutoff over Ryan Sieg. Landon Castle is one more bad finish away at Bristol from not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or and this is the big one because dude has been very quick as of late. Sheldon Creed victory. So, we're going to talk about Bristol, but if you're a Landon Castle and colleague and you just made a crew chief swap going into this week too,
Ooh.
or maybe it started at Kansas. I don't remember, but you just made a crew chief swap too. How what's your panic meter now that you know you're the cutoff driver, and if a new guy wins that's down below the line, you're out?
Go ahead, Matt.
I don't know. Like it. I'm trying to think of how to put this into words. It's frustrating. I mean, if you can look back at stuff like New Hampshire where they got disqualified, where it's like, all right, they wouldn't even, that's like a situation where it's like, damn,
it has a lot of points.
We shouldn't even be in this situation right now. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it just kind of speaks to the disaster of a season that colleagues had. That Hemrick and Allmendinger are right on the bubble. Yeah,
Hemrick and Castle.
Or Castle, not Allmendinger.
Yeah.
Words.
I mean, you can't hit the panic button, right? You got to go into this weekend and just try and have the best. It's Bristol. If you go into Bristol with a mindset other than running your race, a mindset other than just keeping momentum, I mean, you're gonna get caught up in something. You're gonna get, tensions are already high going into Bristol. There's the playoffs looming, like I said earlier, like the playoffs are looming. That's an entire level of context that falls on every driver's shoulders that's on the bubble or not in the playoffs, because they know if they win, that is their shot at getting a championship, or it's their shot at getting a lot more money for their team. And you cannot hit the panic button going into Bristol. There's some tracks I feel like maybe you could, and maybe you could squeak out a better performance. Bristol is not one of those tracks. You need to be calm. Landon Castle, I think, is a pretty calm dude. I don't, I've said my piece on him as a driver, but I think as a guy, him mentally will do fine. I don't think he's going to panic. I don't think that team's going to panic. I think Landon Castle is a decent enough leader because he's been around the sport for a long time. I think that team will be fine going into Bristol, as long as nothing out of their control happens to him.
And that's been a lot of his strengths in Xfinity for so long, was him staying out of trouble with these backmarker cars and bringing them to solid finishes. Oh, yeah. And they are capable still of running top 5. They've scored, I think, 3 or 4 of them so far this year. Obviously, that's not been the norm, but yeah, you're saying, Bristol's the worst place to go in, which is like a panic state of mind. So yeah.
For sure. Moving on to the Truck Series race, John Hunter Nemechek wins. No shocker there. Carson Hocevar does a field strategy late. I think it's pretty easy to sum up why Carson was eliminated and what went wrong with the 42 team.
Yeah. As
the summer went on, I don't know if you guys care to give a good little quick explanation of what you think went wrong.
He got weirder.
Fair enough.
That's really it.
Look back at RP, right? That's probably where you could. I think he only missed it by like 3 or 4 points. So.
Yeah, and that dude, the way they got eliminated too was in brutal fashion, because it was like, I mean, if they hold on for that one extra lap, they're not only winners, but they're into the next round, and instead he's out. Would have been like crew chief call of the year if they pulled that off, but yeah.
Phil Gould is a pretty dang good crew chief.
Yeah.
Who knows, man? Maybe this pressure being lifted off that team and that driver, they'll
watch them win the next 4 races.
They maybe hopefully they'll come back around and I don't know. Carson's been on this weird terror of weird since in my opinion, since Charlotte, but he's just
wonder why
he hasn't really been the guy that I thought he really was. Dumping the dude at IRP was just weird.
That was bad.
That was bad.
That made me reevaluate.
But I have confidence that hopefully the lack of pressure will be a good thing for him, and also missing the playoffs in a car that's been, for all intents and purposes, a top car in the series, or missing this round of playoffs. Excuse me. Hopefully that is a wake up call. We got to change something for everyone in that team. So.
Fair enough.
I think Nice needs to stop running 4 full-time trucks and focus on getting 1 or 2 that run well.
Not an unfair take.
The 42 has been the only, outside of their the the All-Star truck
41. Yeah.
has been the only truck worth a damn, and they field like 5 every week.
Yeah.
So.
All right, let's take some IndyCar flavored news. Will Power becomes a 2-time IndyCar Series champion.
I told you guys.
I'm still not counting out Scott Dixon. I don't know what could happen. I know the season ended. I don't know what could happen.
Wait, hang on. How far back in points is Will Power?
Newgarden ended up finishing second. 16 back, and then Dixon, I think, ended up finishing like 30 something, 40 back. Like he did not.
There could still be a 40-point penalty.
He did not run well at Laguna, but a lot of emotion from Will Power. He talked about his wife telling him that, going into the year, and I don't, this is kind of weird to say, oh, she told me I was going to win the championship and I was going to break Mario's record for poles. But
pretty specific stats.
I'm gonna be totally honest. Will Power is a weird dude.
Yeah.
He probably made that shit up.
I don't care.
He probably made that up.
I told me that I was going to break the laps led record at Laguna Seca at the end of this year. He didn't actually do that, but I'm just trying to think of hyper specific stat for the joke.
I'm gonna pass Herb Thomas in wins in NASCAR.
Nonetheless, it was a very cool sight to see for a driver that throughout his career has been controversial. I don't know if that's the right word. Has kind of gotten mixed reactions from fans.
Maybe not divisive. Polarizing.
That's a good one.
And somebody who's historically had a lot of late season collapses when it comes to trying to win titles.
Yes.
So the fact that he only has one is not indicative of him as a driver.
No.
Now he's got 2.
Good.
Yeah.
So.
There was a short, and even now, like, he's very good. But there's a short time in IndyCar, like somewhere mid 2000s, or
mid
2010s, mid 2010s, where like Will Power on a street course was like the most terrifying thing you could imagine. Just like so raw, like just incredible speed. But and really cool. Very happy.
I mean, you look at his accolades now, right? He's got the 500, multi-time champion, all the race wins, pole record, all these things. Not that he needed a second championship, in my opinion, to solidify being a Motorsports Hall of Famer, but I think it definitely helps. Gets you there probably quicker. So I think kind of cementing that legacy was a very important thing for him, for Penske, for his entire team. We'll actually get to see the Champions one used next year, which is going to be fun.
Nice.
Because Penske does it, unlike Ganassi. So that will be fun.
Cool.
Alex Palou won the race.
Good. That race was a stinker, but IndyCar season was quite fun.
Yeah. Alex Palou wins in what isn't, but is his last race with Ganassi. Has that gotten resolved?
I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm so sick of hearing about Alex Palou. Once something's decided, then we can talk about it.
The crazy part is he's the defending series champion, and that was his first win this year.
Ooh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's true.
So, when we talk about outliers in motorsports, that might be one to think about if he stays in IndyCar long term.
Someone will make that stat.
Throw in that sizzle. Yeah, someone will tweet that out on Twitter.
It'll be in a Sporkle Twiz.
Yep.
Jesus.
So IndyCar silly season, the rest of it's finally here. A lot of it's already been decided. But feel the power. Will Power.
Why is one of the talking points just feel the power?
It's Will Power one. It's pretty easy.
Someone had Husky chocolate at Laguna Seca.
Did they really?
Someone got some.
Oh my god.
We have to keep our eyes on this over the course of the next few months because I need Husky chocolate.
We
checking right now.
Okay, and also there's an update from many episodes ago that I need to tell you guys because I don't think it's gonna happen. So this person that I'm talking to right now, she has a friend who lives in Europe and lives close to where you can get Husky chocolate. And there was going to be an elaborate scheme for me to get some because she would get it, ship it to this person I'm talking to, and then I would get the Husky chocolate and I would just show up on the podcast with it, not say anything, and just take a couple swigs, see if you guys notice.
That would have been
That
sick.
was the plan. But it kind of fell through. because
Oh,
it's not possible. Because apparently, even like no one can buy Husky chocolate. It's impossible. There's no such thing as Husky chocolate where you can buy it because it's impossible. But
I'm currently typing out an email on their contact page asking when they're planning on selling to the U.S.
and if it's
wonderful.
not anytime soon,
Make sure you
can
link
I
them to
still
our
buy
podcast.
some?
Find us talking about Husky chocolate on that episode and direct link to
Also,
that specific moment.
subscribe to JTN too.
Oh my god.
So speaking of sponsorship and not knowing, Kyle Busch announced with Richard Childress Racing today that he's going to pilot the 8 car next year. Davey hates silly season news, so let's exclude him from this conversation.
No, I do have things to say about it though.
Okay. All right, good. Because this one's pretty big.
Yes.
It's only
So-
the winningest driver over the last 10 years changing teams, so
Yeah, not that big.
yeah.
Who cares?
So he's going to pilot the 8 car, which is kind of not breaking news, I don't think, but the fact that RC has been very steadfast in saying that Tyler Reddick is going to race for the team next year. First question, yes or no question, both of you real quick. Do you think Tyler Reddick will actually be at RCR next year?
No.
Matt? Yes or no?
I think
No,
so.
nope, no explanation. Just yes or no.
Okay, yes.
Okay, great. I don't think he's going to be there because I don't think Kurt Busch is coming back.
Oh, actually, that's a good point. Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
over
think
the
that's
next,
the reason.
all that news is going to come out so much quicker than we think because all it took was this domino to fall.
Can I explain my reason why I think he's going to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because they've already fielded the 33 this year, and Austin Hill is probably going up to Cup to replace him after that.
That's fair. That's a very fair
Yeah.
point.
It's a good outlook. Yeah, good point.
There's some weird things here, right? Because Kyle's just going to slide into the 8 car, which it's just always weird when you slide one driver in and you keep the other one and you kind of put him with a new team. A lot of people talking about, this is him being, Richard Childress being very spiteful. Tyler Reddick talked about how an hour before the press conference, he told Tyler that he wouldn't be back in the 8 car next year, which I thought was hilarious. Probably also told him, hey, at least I gave you a heads up before the announcement. 3 charters. If there aren't long-term plans to field a 3rd car, if this is like a year thing, I don't see the benefit in leasing a charter for a year just to run a driver that you're probably not going to have the resources to help compete for a championship. Now, if it's a long-term thing and you're going to buy the charter, that's a little more reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Where you get that charter from, Live Fast, Richard Racing, or Spire.
Those guys aren't selling their charters. I'm just saying.
Live
Well, Rick
Fast.
Ware might have to.
Live Fast is the one that might have to, because they've been bottom 3, I think, for the last
I didn't
2
think
years
about that.
now. That's the
I didn't
thing.
know about
Now, does NASCAR actually go through and revoke these things? That's the actual question.
Yeah, because it says that NASCAR has the right to do so. Yes.
Exactly. Not that they have
do
to.
you think Trey?
I muted
Do you-
specifically for the first one, and then it launched.
do you think? Here's the question: do you think if they don't, because it says they have the right to, God, that's gonna be messy. That's gonna be sticky.
Exactly.
Because I bet if they don't go for it, Richard Childress is gonna make like a formal, I don't know, a request or
Well, and then you have 2 RTA teams, because I'm pretty sure those other 3 are all in the RTA. That's a whole. That's the.
This is gonna.
We love the Race Team Alliance here on the Fake Racers podcast, and by we I mean me, and by love I mean have some very big gripes with it.
I was gonna say, I think they have that rule in place about charters specifically for situations like this, where there's a big team that wants to expand or a new team, and they're like, okay, these guys are just kind of running 30th every week, so.
Which is not fair, first of all.
I agree.
Yeah.
That is not fair to be like, hey, Dale Jr. wants a charter, so you've been bottom 3, get out.
Yeah.
That's
Should be
not
consistent.
fair. Not that I'm saying that's not how they're going to go about it, because brains
Sports on
and
money.
people.
Yep.
Exactly.
Money.
Well, money. You said the word that I wanted to say but didn't want to say. But it's a very interesting decision. Because if you're Richard Childress, you don't want to buy Tyler Reddick out of his contract. If you're 2311, you don't want to pay to buy Tyler Reddick out of his contract. It all hinges on the guy that's on Davey's shirt, which is Kurt Busch. He's wearing his Kansas winter t-shirt. It all hinges on what happens with Kurt Busch. That is the next domino. Can
Yeah.
Kurt come back? Not will he, because I think if he can, he will.
Yeah.
At least for a season to finish out his contract. Because I think he's pretty integral to that 45 team right now with the Monster sponsorship.
Yeah, I think it's clear he likes it there too. He's been
I
posting
think
all
he's
over social media about.
I think he's going to stick around when he's done.
I think that'd be freaking awesome. I love that.
I have a feeling he will. Because Kurt Busch is a guy that we've talked about. He makes his team better. Used to think Brad Keselowski was one of those guys, but this year is kind of hurting that argument a little bit. Not gonna lie.
This whole situation, it just kind of like, it's such a mess, you know?
So you can look at it like, did Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin bring this upon themselves?
I was thinking about that a lot earlier today.
Did Richard Childress Racing bring this upon themselves? Like,
it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, Richard Childress, they kind of, I don't know if they backed themselves into a corner.
They fumbled the bag with Tyler Reddick.
They fumbled the bag by just doing that single year option. But two wrongs don't make a right, and that doesn't make it okay for Tyler Reddick to then just blindside them and go side with somebody else. Because it's like, I guarantee why Richard Childress is mad is because when the way that it seems like this deal came together is either this deal had been in the works for a while and was banking on him getting that year extension, or it came together after he got the year extension, in which case Denny Hamlin then slid in, was like, do you want to come drive for us afterwards? And then Reddick never went to RC and said, this is what they're offering me, you should match it or I'm going to be gone. He just took the deal and expected it to all blow over.
Run, yeah.
I think the reason Tyler Reddick didn't make that move because he asked. I mean,
at the start of the year, it's very public that he asked.
He asked for a long-term contract, and I do understand feeling a little bit, is smitten the right word? Feeling slighted that they only exercised the year option, and then only after he won the race. It's not a great look.
And just because it's after he won the race doesn't mean that wasn't already something that was coming, and they were just trying to figure out verbiage and whatnot in a contract. But it's obviously pretty convenient.
No, because it was an option on his current contract, right? There was no verbiage. There was no new contract. It was just the option that was already on it. I
still feel like that's not something you could do in like a 24-hour time period. I feel like you can't just be like, oh yeah, okay, here, buddy, sign your extension on your contract. You want to race like that.
I feel like they definitely could.
I mean, I'm sure they could. I just don't think you do.
Just ship Tyler Reddick's ass to welcome and have him sign it. All right, cool. Yeah. Tyler Reddick's like, okay,
I'm done with this.
Denny. I'm gonna call Denny.
Too, if you're Tyler Reddick, obviously it's been made pretty public, and a lot of people like to bring up the argument of Austin Dillon because everyone hates Austin Dillon for some reason. Well, we know the reason, but is it fair? Not always. There's the argument that those people like to make about Austin Dillon always being the focus of RCR, despite Tyler being better this year. That argument's going to probably go away next year when Kyle Busch is doing really well, because there is no reason you don't put at equal, if not more, resources into the 8 car if Kyle Busch is your driver.
Not to mention that Austin Dillon's driven for RCR for like 20 years now, so
yep.
It's kind of going to have some favoritism within the team. And the other thing that I wanted to say, or other point I wanted to bring up about this is like, it seemed like such a rush deal to get him signed, because like, what is 23XI's plan? Like, you kind of had to know that there was going to be some backlash, and they don't even know if they're going to have 3 cars yet.
Yeah, so that's the thing. They want to get to 3 cars too. Denny Hamlin has said 3 is a good number.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up.
I don't know if maybe that now involves buying one of the Gibbs charters when that time comes. When Truex decides to retire after next year, because that's probably what's going to happen.
Especially with the KBM pipeline gone, they might not have a 4th driver.
Look, we put ourselves in a tricky situation. We're Joe Gibbs Racing. We'll talk about that here in a second. But Richard Childress Racing screwed up by not signing Tyler Reddick. RC doubled down on that decision. Got the best driver, best free agent available in the last, 10 years since Kevin Harvick was available, right?
Yeah.
Is that a fair argument? I mean,
I think so. Yeah. I think he's a better free agent.
Oh, he's the best free agent probably in the last 20 years, at least.
It's hard to think of Kyle's had a kind of down couple seasons.
Because
But
like maybe Carl Edwards is maybe better than Harvick. I don't know. We didn't get to actually see that.
But even Carl Edwards, like when he left Roush, it's like, okay, he's a talented driver. No one had any idea the season he was going to have when he went to Gibbs.
Same with Kenseth. I was thinking of Kenseth too, but then
just think about the last time a multi-time
Mark
champion hit the free agent market like this. Like I can't think of one. Like this is like the equivalent of like when Peyton Manning hit free agency.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of shock when like Brad hit free agency last year, right?
Yeah.
But not the level of Kyle Busch.
Yeah, no.
Like this has been the story that's dominated the summer, and now is still going to continue to dominate the headlines for probably a couple weeks because there's still some dominoes that are going to fall because of it.
Oh yeah, the fallout is insane, which I'm excited to get to. I'm excited to get to the part where it's like all of the backlash, all the fallout, all the things that are going to fall because of it that have already fell.
Let's get there because we've talked a lot about RCR. Let's start with Joe Gibbs Racing.
TRD. Let's start with TRD.
No. We're gonna go down the pyramid, not up the pyramid. We're gonna go down the pyramid.
Okay.
Let's go down the pyramid.
Yeah.
Because Kyle Busch had some very, very pointed comments. Now, thanked Joe Gibbs, thanked the team, thanked Toyota, did all the right things. Made it very clear that returning to the 18 car at some point this summer, Pocono, was not an option for him.
Yep.
We all know who's going into the 18 car. It's going to be Ty Gibbs. Doesn't matter when they announce it. That's what's going to happen. We know that.
Dude's won 5 races in his first Xfinity season. I think he's ready for Cup, and he's already been competent. You know, the writing's been on the wall this whole time. You know?
Also goes to the fact that Joe Gibbs said, "Oh, Ty's going to run 2 years full time in Xfinity." That was a load of crap.
Yeah,
I think we all kind of knew that from the start.
Everyone knows it.
I think that might have been the plan if Truex was going to retire, but
I think I think the 19 was the plan. They realized they couldn't get a big enough sponsor to feed Kyle, and they're like, "All right, Martin, you want to come back for an extra year and help us out?" Yeah. Martin said, "Sure, I'm still competitive. All right, we'll put Ty in the 18 car. We can pay him a lot less money. He'll get the monster stuff somehow. I don't know how that works." So, my point being, if you're Kyle Busch, you feel very slighted by a team that you are the only driver for that team that has won a championship since Tony Stewart in 2005.
Ooh, Jesus. Ouch.
Did you think about that?
That's a yikes. Oh, man. Putting it in perspective like that.
I'd be pretty dang disappointed because Joe Gibbs Racing did not, I don't know if tried hard enough is the right way, but they did not do enough to keep Kyle Busch. And people are going to make the argument that Kyle wanted too big of a salary, too big of a contract. He's going to Richard Childress Racing. I think Joe Gibbs could pay more than RCR if
also,
they really wanted to.
If you're at this point in your career, you've earned it. You know, there's a reason why these veterans cost that much money. So,
driver salaries have gone down. That's been made very public by guys like Kevin Harvick. There was like that fallout between him and Dale Jr. when Dale was on the way out talking about driver salaries.
Yeah.
Driver salaries have gone down. That's a big reason why Brad Keselowski left Penske, taking ownership role.
That's why Matt Kenseth didn't get another full-time ride.
Yep.
So,
Joe Gibbs Racing screwed up. At the end of the day, who screwed up more? Richard Childress Racing not signing Tyler Reddick without knowing that they would get Kyle Busch, or Joe Gibbs Racing not re-signing Kyle Busch? Who do you think's the bigger screw up?
Oh, Joe Gibbs, 100%.
Yeah, okay.
I was going to say, ironically, this is very similar to an RCR lost Harvick. Because Harvick was out of the door because grandson was coming in as the Silver Spoon kid, and what is happening with Gibbs right now?
Holy crap, you ain't wrong.
Joe Gibbs' grandson is coming in, and Kyle Busch is like, "Dog, I've done everything for you for the last 15 years."
And we haven't even begun talking about what this means for KBM and the relationship with TRD, and the TRD pipeline doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, Kyle Busch is Toyota.
Yep.
He's set every record for them. Truex is the only Toyota driver to win a title. So
Yep.
he's won 2/3 of their titles. He won their first Cup race.
And
He's the
Truex's team
main
isn't even
slash-
around anymore that he won the title with.
Yeah.
He is the main / only Toyota team in trucks that's like a TRD pipeline team.
Yeah, because ThorSport kind
doesn't-
of runs independently, right? And
Yeah.
That's not going to happen anymore. And then, it's just like I saw a really funny comment, and this is kind of like we're kind of getting into our next topic with Kate because KBM is going to go to Chevy from here on out. And I saw a really funny comment on Reddit about like oh, so that's why John Hunter Nemechek looked like someone shot his dog in Victory Lane when he won. And I was like, that's so true. That dude he just did not look happy to win that race. He saw it, man. I mean,
yeah, I would
like,
assume
what do you do if you're a TRD pipeline driver, and your competition is now a champion, someone who should be a champion, and then Ty Gibbs? Did you get a cup ride? You're not getting a cup ride.
Well,
Yeah.
Christopher Bell. You forgot about Christopher Bell.
Christopher Bell too, but Christopher Bell's been good.
Exactly.
I don't think they get rid of Christopher Bell.
No, not if look. They have everything they did wrong with Eric Jones.
Mm-hmm.
They have corrected with Christopher Bell. I will give them credit for that. Where Christopher Bell was struggling, they paired him up with Adam Stevens. They paired him up with that championship caliber crew chief.
Yeah.
Can I just mention?
Not
also,
that Jason Radcliffe wasn't, but
I'm not a very big fan of Joe Gibbs. I don't think he's a bad guy, but as a team owner, he annoys the hell out of me. And I don't want to say he's a snake, but I do remember when Eric Jones was on his way out at the end of 2019 or 2020.
I'd take care of him. I promised
and-
his dad I would take care of him.
Joe Gibbs was on the Dale Jr. Download, and he was talking about their team, and he mentioned the other 3 drivers by name and never once mentioned Eric Jones the entire time. And this was like October of 2020 while Eric was still driving for them.
Mm.
And it was like, that's weird. So,
I got some bias here, so I don't want to get into it too much. But
oh,
yeah.
wait. Was that 2020 when Eric was... Yeah, Eric was still there in 2020.
Regardless, I mean, Joe Gibbs has screwed up the TRD pipeline now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's no one in truck. Unless they go to ThorSport, but I don't really see that happening.
Well,
I don't see Joe Gibbs starting up a truck team.
Look at ThorSport. I mean, you got Ben Rhodes, who's defending series champion, who's been decent this year.
Yeah.
Matt Crafton's got a ride for life there. That's pretty obvious.
As long as Menards is paying the bills, he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christian Eckes got kicked out of TRD.
Yeah.
Got kicked out of their pipeline so freaking early. That made no
Yeah.
sense. Who else is over there? Oh, Ty Majeski. Ty Majeski's the only one where it feels like he could be, he's got an engineering role there too, which I think kind of gets swept under the rug. I don't think people realize because that's what he was doing last year over there. And then they had that 5th truck that they've fielded for Johnny Sauter part-time.
They really roll out an extra truck just for Johnny Sauter to yell at them on the radio.
Pretty much. But the point being is, I mean, does TRD help Venturini get up to the truck series? I mean, we know the ARCA series ain't what it was, ain't what it whatever was, and
Yeah, I don't know, and who knows how much it'll be. How it'll be.
I don't think Venturini wants to go to the truck series.
I don't think he does either. I think he's perfectly happy winning everything in ARCA.
I'm just trying to think of like what Toyota is thinking about this because they've banked on Kyle Busch being their talent pipeline for 10 years now. And then Joe Gibbs just kind of let him walk. And so, like, is that going to damage Gibbs' relationship with Toyota?
I mean, I don't think it will, but that's been on my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Joe Gibbs, you are the only team in the garage area right now that has experience getting a new manufacturer into the sport.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap about 2007. 2007 Toyota was the worst monkey butt doo-doo we've ever seen.
They are essentially the factory Toyota team.
So, if you're Joe Gibbs Racing, you kind of hold a lot of cards when it comes to that. So I feel like TRD at this point, they put themselves into a corner. We've talked about it with their development pipeline. The whole cutting bait with drivers way before they should.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Gibbs Racing has a pretty bad habit of it too. Look at Joey Logano. Look at JJ Yaley. But that's not.
Sounds too much like a USRL member now.
We could see Eric. What does Eric Jones do now that they've got really good funding behind him? Right? Like, look at how good they've been this year.
Outran a Joe Gibbs car to win this year.
Yeah, KBM was the glue holding the TRD pipeline together, and I don't think anything's going to come of it because I know the relationship is strong. But Matt, I do agree with you. Like, what does that mean about their relationship? Because Joe Gibbs maybe not necessarily taking a flyer, but like pivoting this hard. I mean, that really does like screw up a lot of young drivers' careers now because the TRD pipeline. I mean, they're going to have to build it from somewhere else. Like, it's going to have to come from somewhere else. And let's not also talk about how much of a loss it is for Toyota, but also how big of a win it is for Chevrolet to have KBM.
If they get those details ironed out.
They treat their younger drivers a lot better. Go ahead, Joe. You have a face.
Nice Motorsports new Toyota team. I figured it out.
There's potential there, I guess.
Yeah.
The GMS ain't leaving, so.
No.
Yeah. I mean, this goes even deeper than that. Like somebody's pointed out, Stuart Friesen's team's a satellite to KBM. So is he left hanging at Toyota, or is he going to switch it back to Chevy as well?
And he just made that switch a couple years ago, too. Now
it took him like 2 years to start running good, and they're like finally back up, and now they're KBM switching to Toyota or Chevy, and Stuart Friesen's like, but I just come on.
I would think Friesen's team was more likely to just go ahead and switch with KBM, if anything.
Yeah,
because I don't think those TRD ties are all that strong.
Yeah, I could see him becoming even like an RCR satellite, like fully at that point. So,
man, that's the part I enjoy. That bit of it, all like this means this is wreaking havoc.
And the other
on
thing
the sport.
is,
like
KBM is more than the truck team. Rowdy chassis. I mean, you've got they have the ARCA team. Now they bought Joe Gibbs Racing's ARCA team.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Granted, it's one car and it's been shared by, I think, not Chandler Smith this year, but it's been shared by Sammy Smith and.
Is Drew Dollar still driving the KBM ARCA car?
No.
Because if so, the Drew Dollar to JRM rumors.
There's a relationship at least. You never. I listen. Oh my god.
But the point being is, Joe Gibbs Racing sold the farm for some magic beans and Ty Gibbs. Because Ty Gibbs is that guy. He is that prospect. You can hate how he races, you can hate his demeanor off the track, but he is a hell of a race car driver.
Yeah.
You can't deny that at this point. You can say he's in the best equipment, he's still winning. If you're in the best equipment and you're not winning, you're bad. There are plenty of examples of that. So
that was pointed,
but it's true, right? I mean, let's be fair. Like, if Ty Gibbs is in the best equipment, of course he's winning. Bad driver doesn't win.
The best drivers are in the best equipment for a reason. So
sometimes it's because you got a silver spoon to start, and you're able to, but not the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, they sold the farm for the magic beans and Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs could be a multi-time Cup Series champion. He could be a bust in 3 years. We don't know.
Yeah.
You never truly know with the Cup Series being so different now. So
the thing that I'm thinking about also is, obviously you have Christopher Bell, obviously you have Ty Gibbs. What's the plan after that?
I think Sammy Smith is in the plans.
Yeah. He's still relatively an unknown.
Basically,
Hamlin
the plans are a bunch of unproven guys.
Corey Haim, I guess. John Hunter Nemechek.
Is Chandler Smith sticking around?
I've seen everyone talk about the TRD guys, and Chandler Smith has not been mentioned, so I don't know.
He might just be a Kyle Busch guy at this point.
Who knows what's going to happen with John Hunter Nemechek, man?
He'll be in the 26 full-time next year or something.
Yeah.
Probably.
Sam Hunt Racing getting more Toyota support, though, isn't a bad thing.
I mean, I guess you take your rides where you can get them, but if I was John Hunter Nemechek, I would not want to stick with Gibbs. They just passed right over him.
I would be so angry right now if I'm John Hunter. First of all, you're supposed to be the fill-in driver if someone at 2311 gets hurt. You get passed over that for Ty Gibbs, which was, again, the writing on the wall for Kyle being gone.
Mm-hmm.
Now because Joe Gibbs Racing decided they're not going to re-up Kyle Busch, you've lost your truck ride.
Yeah.
And you're signed to a contract with TRD, so TRD has the option to obviously buy him out or whatever.
Yeah.
So either you're going to be on the street or you're going to be racing whatever, wherever, whenever for TRD. And you did all of that. Do you remember what the whole argument was with John Hunter Nemechek? He's taking a big risk going back down to the truck series. Not a lot of drivers get back to Cup, but, this could work out if he wins a lot. And he won a lot, and he hasn't won as much this year. And now that pipeline's drying up. So
yeah. And to be fair, it was a good gamble, but Gibbs kind of fumbled the bag above him, and he's caught in the whole ripple effect of it now.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, really unfortunate set of circumstances that just worked out against John Hunter Nemechek in almost every way. Like, could not have been more harmful to his career.
I'm just wondering, what or who's going to drive for KBM? Because I imagine the 18's getting renumbered to the 8.
Carson Hocevar.
Honestly, not a bad
He's
choice
a
for that.
Chevy driver development. Daniel Dye, I think, is a Chevy driver development.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else. Nick Sanchez, Rajah Caruth. I don't know if they're Chevy development or if they're just NASCAR driver diversity.
If he wants a veteran, I mean, Brett Moffitt's out there. He's a Chevy guy, but I don't know about that.
London Bridge is burning down, burning down, burning down.
Yeah, this whole thing is friggin' crazy, though.
Like I said earlier, this is I'm not a huge fan of silly season stuff, but I am a fan of silly season moves wreaking absolute havoc on the sport.
Oh yeah,
this is great.
And again, this goes to the grassroots. Again, I mean,
a lot of reach with this move.
So, Kyle Busch going to RCR. That's the big news from today. We don't have on here. We like North Wilkesboro All-Star Race, right? I think.
Yes.
That news came out after last week's show.
Good. Good. Joe, get your notepad out. Good luck getting a ticket, because you're not going to get one. All the hotels are booked out already. Good luck. Good luck. It's over. You're not getting a ticket.
I really wanted to go, but I'm like, yeah, I'm not paying that markup that there will be.
Can we just talk about how much raw power Dale Jr. possesses? How he was like, we need to get back to North Wilkesboro. Don't you dare tear up the pavement on this. And the entire state of North Carolina was like, all right, Dale, whatever you say.
Might as well make Dale Jr. mayor of
just elect him as governor.
He probably could get away with that.
Junior could honestly make the Senate for North Carolina.
Big thanks to the American Recovery CARES Act for providing a lot of this funding.
Short.
Yep. Big thanks to ARCA. But big thanks to the CARES Act for providing that funding to not only North Wilkesboro, also some funding to Charlotte Motor Speedway and to Rockingham. That's by way of Governor Cooper's office in North Carolina, because the states had the ability to disperse that money as they saw fit. I believe it was $18 million. I believe they're going to get some more money here from the government as well to kind of help with some of the things. Big things that are going to need to be updated. They need to add safer barriers, especially with the next-gen car. Safer barriers. And NC DOT, Department of Transportation, has said that they cannot widen out the road. Don't know if that's going to be as big of an issue for this race as it was for that, the big racetrack revival event. What was it? Street Stock Super... The late model stock.
Yes,
who cares?
Whatever.
I think it was super late models, yeah.
Whatever it was. They're not going to be able to widen out the road in time, which I find impossible, but whatever. I don't do that stuff. I don't want to do my construction worker rant, but I really want to, but I'm not going to. I'll save it for a rainy day.
Hey, how many Caltrans workers does it take to fix a street light? 6. 1 to change it, and 5 to stand around and watch him. Okay.
NASCAR rolls around to Bristol.
You don't want to talk about Race for the Championship, episode 2?
No, let's talk about it.
I thought it was good.
It was better.
It was better,
in my opinion. I liked the pacing. They spent as much time on the race as they needed. The off-track stuff was once again phenomenal.
the freaking Ryan Blaney Austin Cindric interaction after the duel, saying, "Hey, don't do that to me," and then seeing him do it in the race.
That was good. That was
I like, see me run over the wall. Want to see me do it again?
That was really good insight, really good storytelling.
Yes.
I do think there's somewhere it's missing a beat. I don't know, maybe if it's just because I've watched Drive to Survive and I'm comparing it and I shouldn't.
See, as someone that hasn't watched
quite good.
I haven't watched Drive to Survive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have Netflix. I quite frankly don't care to watch.
Joe, get on with it. What's the point?
I think it's pretty good. I think it's a good little peek through the window. I think you can't. Sounds like Drive to Survive has, instead of, they started out peeking through the window, now they got their whole freaking head through the window, right? And they're starting to touch things, and they're starting to move things around inside the house that they're filming. Where this is just like a good little peek, and I hope it stays that way, right? Like having these actual interviews is really good, but then still trying to capture that like raw type of stuff and having a good mix of that is really important. I think they've done a good job. And like you said, the balance was definitely a lot better this week than the first week. I noticed it this time after you saying something. So
yeah, I didn't. I enjoyed the pacing a lot better. The storytelling was better. I love all the stuff at the shop, which I know is not easy to get those shots over the course of like a week. So I don't expect that to be a thing that happens all the time. But I love all the stuff that they've done, like at the race shops, all the footage, all the the team meetings and stuff like that. I love that. Yeah, it's good. Matt, did you watch it?
I haven't yet.
It's free on YouTube. Get on it. Yeah. The only thing I, again, still have issues with what time it's on TV. And,
yeah, it's kind of weird time.
And the fact that I think it only had like 35,000 plays on YouTube was getting a lot of like... The first week's episode, at least, was getting a lot of heat. Apparently it's geo-locked, so you can only watch it in the United States.
I heard that.
So that's not good. But would think that there's going to be kind of some things out there eventually of licensing it out and stuff to other different streaming platforms. Once the show is completely released, once all the episodes are done. So, it's Bristol this weekend, baby. Trucks open up their second round from the Bristol Motor Speedway.
I just want to say, while we're all kind of looking at our picks, I know a lot of discussion has been had about how the next gen isn't very good on short tracks.
This one's different.
Don't know. This one is different. This one is very different. So I'm holding out my judgment on it.
Yep.
Until we get to the racetrack, basically, because it is a much different short track than Martinsville. A lot more momentum, a lot more thinking.
All the cars there for the tire test blew a tire, so just keep that in mind. Tires are going to mean something.
That's good.
That's good. Though. Don't blow them.
So we are at Bristol.
Trucks.
Everyone knows who I'm picking.
Parker Kligerman?
Parker Kligerman.
Ryan Preece in the race?
No,
he is not.
He's not.
Taylor Gray
in the 17.
Yeah, Taylor Gray's one that. I'm gonna take give me Raja Caruth in the 7.
I'm gonna take Chandler Smith. He's gonna be laughing all the way home to his KBM ride next year. Xfinity, this is their last race before the cutoff. Regular season finale from Bristol. It was a thriller last year with AJ and Cindric wrecking across the line. Hicks.
Wow, this is a cool field for Xfinity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no Cup regulars in this race either.
Brandon Brown in the 5. That's pretty cool.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
How is that cool?
I don't know. I just feel like the 5 car's been pretty decent. Brandon Brown hasn't run a lot of decent stuff.
Who's in the 68 this weekend?
Chris Wright.
Probably Chris Wright. Yeah.
Oh, dang. That sucks for them. He actually did pretty good this last week, I guess.
Yeah.
So, good on him. Gets a lot of crap in our groups.
Yeah.
Oh, Nick Sanchez in the big machine car. Man.
Ooh.
Wow, this is a cool field. Okay.
Yeah. Sage Karam's in the O2.
I want Sheldon Creed, so give me Sheldon
I was
Creed.
gonna take him.
Okay, you can take him. You gotta do the voice.
I'm gonna take Jeffrey Earnhardt in the 26. I'm feeling stupid.
I was kind of feeling a little stupid too. I was feeling a little bit stupid.
Kyle Busch 3 Xfinity car next year. Book it.
But I'm not gonna be that stupid. I'm gonna say Landon Castle.
That would
Secures
be
his playoffs.
good little walk
There you go.
off.
Yeah.
Sends him off with a little bit of money. Like I said, I like Landon Castle, the dude. I have reservations about his driving talent, but the dude is awesome.
Yeah.
Cup Series. Of course, we are on the dirt in the spring. Love it or hate it. It's a different track this weekend. What you got?
Can I just mention how much I hate the race name, the Bass Pro Shops Night Race?
Is it still? Does it still have presented by NRA in the name, or
No,
I
it
think
doesn't.
so.
I don't
it's
even
on
know
the
if the
Brahma
NRA
Jason
is allowed
page.
to sponsor NASCAR races anymore. They might not be.
I don't know.
NASCAR might
Oh
move
yeah,
away
it is.
from that.
Bass Pro Shop NRA night race.
Oh, okay. NRA is still allowed to sponsor NASCAR races, I guess.
Let's
That was a
see.
big thing.
Yeah.
Can I pick then? If you guys are
Go
still
for it.
looking, I'm gonna take
Good.
Kyle Busch.
Oh,
The weight
Not a
is
bad pick at all.
off his shoulders.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
Take Ty Gibbs.
I'm gonna make myself angry, and I'm gonna make a lot of other people angry. Kevin Harvick
All right.
It's a good
should have
pick.
won here last year.
I was thinking of picking dumb, but you guys are picking heavy hitters, so I feel like I got to do the same thing.
Bubba
So,
Wallace.
I'm gonna throw up in my mouth saying Joey Logano.
It does feel like a week Joey Logano would win. That's
Yeah.
that's an unbelievable thing.
It's like,
to
hey,
say.
things have been fun recently. Here comes Logano again.
Might actually put some money on Joey Logano just so I'm not angry if he wins. Now that you say that.
Oh, man.
But folks, this was this week's episode of the Fake Racers Podcast. We cannot thank you enough, as always, for watching, listening. However you consume this, we appreciate you so much. Make sure you're following us at Fake Racers on Twitter, as well as at Johto Network on Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. The best way, of course, though, to keep up to date with the Fake Racers Podcast and all our content on JTN is to make sure you're subscribed to our 2 YouTube channels, JTN2 for the podcast, and at Johto Network here on YouTube for the main stuff. Also have Oof Sides, which did fantastic for week number 1 last week. Good job, Matt and crew.
Nice.
I believe it's you, Dewey, Garrett, and Jack on the show this week.
Yep, on this week's show. Yep.
Planned for Thursday.
Yep.
Okay, so that'll be released tomorrow because this is going to release on Wednesday. So we appreciate you guys so much for supporting that. And hopefully you click subscribe and you're coming over here too. So it's a good little symbiotic relationship where here at Fake Racers, we're probably doing little to nothing. With all that being said though, folks, Davey, you kind of look like you want to say something. Is there anything you want to say? M Steelman 51 on Twitter from Matt. Davey Hazard's links are down below.
You can find me. That's it. You can find me.
But as always, folks, cannot thank you enough for
Should
watching.
I make a
this
pirate
week.
ship noise again? Should I do it?
Cannot thank you guys enough for watching this week. We will see you guys next time right here on the Fake Racers Podcast.